All right, Warrior fans, I'm sure most of you have taken a peek into the double. It's a little mini camp that the Warriors have held over the last week or so. Steph and Draymond have been absent. Steph has been off promoting Aisha's cookbook, and Draymond has been very clutch on TV lately, right? But hey, they've deserved that. They've earned that, right? And I'm sure they'll be ready when push comes to shove. At least Steph will be. So the double has mostly young Warrior players and frankly a bunch of guys that you won't need to learn their names. That's really what it is. But there is Wiggins made an appearance, Looney's there, right? And I think most intriguing and most exciting is the fact that Klay Thompson is back on a basketball court. It's been approximately 15 months since Klay's surgery. It was July 2nd, I believe, that it happened. Now we're sitting here early October. And if you look at the data specifically on basketball players, 18 months for an ACL seems to be the sweet spot. I think one of the silver linings for the Warriors not being able to play for so long right now, as opposed to even the teams that got to enter the bubble, is Klay is going to get that full 18 months before he actually has to get tested in real live games, right? And, you know, coming back from a major injury is a process, right? First, you have to heal, right? The bone, the ligament, whatever the injury is, the surgery has to happen and the actual physical healing has to take place. And then second, you have to strengthen that area, right? The muscles, the joint, everything in that area has laid dormant for usually 6 to 8 months, and that's weakened that area. So you have to add strength to it. And then the process after that is the mind-muscle connection, and you have to kind of reprogram your body to be able to fire those muscles properly when called upon. So it's a long process, but sports science has come a long way. I do feel like the final process is often overlooked, and that is overcoming the mental trauma of the injury. We've all experienced physical traumas, whether we're aware of it or not. There's little things in our lives that we avoid or things that we do because of traumas from a kid or a sports injury, whatever it may be. A lot of people, you'll see it with dogs, right? Or something like that. Or sometimes it's a car accident, things like that, right? Well, these athletes, they experience these same traumas. And to me, since the sports science has gotten so good, I think that is the biggest variable when you're talking about a pro athlete coming back from a major injury. Let me give you some examples and I'll keep it bay for you, okay? Jimmy G. It's been what? It's been over 2 years since he's had his ACL, and he's not the same player. You're seeing him not able to get over the trauma of that injury. And when I say he's not able to get over that trauma, what I mean is he doesn't want to base on that surgically repaired knee on that front leg when he throws the football. And that's why he hasn't been the same quarterback. He hasn't had the same accuracy. And frankly, it looks like he has a different arm. It's not the arm, it's that knee. And I don't think it's physical. I think it's a mental trauma that he has yet to overcome. And we're talking about 2 years removed from that surgery. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, do y'all remember the Monte moped incident? Maybe some of you don't, but you OGs, you old school fans remember. It was an off season. Monte Ellis was the budding young star of the Warriors, and it got reported. I still don't know what happened, but apparently he crashed his moped down in Mississippi and tore his ankle up something bad to the point where he had to have surgery on his ankle, right? And what was super concerning about it is you're dealing with a smaller guard who is very reliant, ultra reliant, I should say, on his quickness. Now, you stick a few pins in that ankle, and on paper, it would appear like, all right, this dude, he might not be the same, right? He's so reliant on that speed, and now he's got a surgically repaired ankle. It was very concerning, and I will never forget the first time Monte checked in the game coming off that surgery. So the Warriors were on offense. They're inbounding on the baseline, and Monte checks in. He makes a little shimmy cut towards the basket, catches it, goes up and spikes it on somebody. And I'm like, oh my, like, what? Right? And that was Monte Ellis for you. That was Monte Ellis for you, because Monte, not only was he ultra quick, but he was fearless and he was ultra confident. And to me, when we're talking about the psychological part of recovering from an injury, those are the two most important traits: confidence, and then there has to be a fearlessness to the athlete. Doesn't have to be, but it really helps them along the way. And Monte had both of those. And so he just was back like he never left. I'll never forget it, right? You know, it was just like, okay, Monte, all is forgiven, bro. All is forgiven. Now, back to Klay. Fearlessness and confidence. We know our boy has that in spades, right? So when I'm tuning into the double and I see him take off that repaired knee and finish a dunk in the same exact way that he got injured, that solidified for me what I already thought I knew. He's going to be the same player. Klay's going to be the same guy. And it really boils down to how strong his mental is. Again, fearlessness, confidence. And I think once Klay realized that physically it's repaired and he's all right, he's the type that's just going to rip the Band-Aid off, right? He's just going to rip the Band-Aid off. What's the saying? The only thing to fear is fear itself. And for Klay and a lot of these athletes, like, you know, instead of avoiding attacking the basket and testing the knee, he wanted to attack his fear and conquer it right away. Again, rip the Band-Aid off. And here's the thing with basketball players specifically, you can really get a feel for how they're responding and how they feel by gauging how they attack the basket off of an injury, because most big injuries usually occur when a player is attacking the basket, right? And it's much more of a conscious decision than some other things they do on the court. Like all of them are going to trot up and down and run up and down the court. And believe it or not, even shooting can be an unconscious thing. But you consciously have to decide, all right, let me go up and try to dunk. Let me try to attack the basket hard. And so with basketball players specifically, when a guy's coming off an injury, that's one of the first things I look at. Like, is he willing to go into the paint and attack the basket? Now, the next phase and step for Klay will be to do it in a game against a real live opponent. There was an element of safety, I believe, you know, doing it amongst his teammates and the level of intensity in the scrimmage. Like, he knew Danny Green wasn't going to come chasing down, you know what I mean? There was a level of safety that he felt in trying to do it in a practice. There's steps along the way, right? And so the next step for him will be to do it, you know, in a preseason game, or when there's an opponent and there's an element of surprise. There's a variable of it may not be safe to do, but come on, man. We know who Klay is. And I'd be willing to bet the very first preseason, regular season game that he's in against a real live opponent, he's going to go up and he's going to try and get one, because that's who Klay is. And that is why Klay will still be Klay. That mentality.